All right, so we've got something pretty huge to dig into today,
Oh, yeah, absolutely massive. This news
and it's
is,
from Planet of Baseball. They posted this piece.
I saw
It
this.
says Vladimir Guerrero Jr. firma por 14 años y 500 millas. Los Blue Jays aseguran su futuro.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's by Frank Pearl. It just came out on April 7th, 2025.
Yeah, that's
So
right.
we're gonna dive deep into this contract extension, what it means for Vlad Guerrero Jr. and the Toronto Blue Jays.
Yeah, this kind of news, it just ripples across the league.
Yeah.
And thanks for bringing this analysis from Frank Pereiro over at Planet of Baseball.
Absolutely.
I mean, if you're listening and you want more, baseball coverage like this, definitely check them out.
Oh, yeah.
Their blog is planet-baseball.com, and they're on X at Planet of Baseball.
Perfect.
And Frank Pereiro, the author of this piece, he's on X as well at Frank Pereiro. So
Yeah, great stuff.
yeah, shout out to them.
So really, the question we're looking at here is, what does $500 million
Right.
over 14 years tell us about the Blue Jays' strategy?
Yeah.
And,
Their future.
what kind of value are they placing
Yeah.
on Vlad Guerrero Jr.?
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Big time.
$500 million
It's unbelievable.
to keep him in Toronto.
One thing that Frank points out in his piece is that there are no deferred payments in this deal.
Oh, wow.
And that's a really key element because when we start to compare this contract to some other big contracts around the league, that's when it gets really interesting.
Yeah, you start to see how this stacks up. And, I mean, this is one of the biggest contracts in MLB history.
Oh, for sure.
Pearl points out the only contract that surpasses it in terms of present value is Juan Soto's $765 million deal with the Mets.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's
Huge.
to put in perspective.
I mean, and it makes you think right away, like, why this much? And looking at it from the Blue Jays side, Pereiro suggests a couple of reasons. First, there's this clear organizational need to secure a cornerstone player for the long haul.
For the future.
I mean, they've been in the mix for some other big names, Shohei Ohtani, Roki Sasaki, even Soto,
Of course.
and they haven't landed them.
Right.
So locking down a talent like Guerrero Jr. becomes even more crucial.
Yeah, you can sense that urgency to solidify their core. And then
Well, and then you look at
Guerrero Jr.'s career, and it hasn't been a perfectly linear upward climb.
right.
It's a fantastic debut. Incredible 2021 season.
Oh my goodness.
He hit 288, 363 on base percentage, 499 slugging, 160 home runs, and a WAR.
Wow.
21.7 in his first 7 seasons.
Unbelievable.
In 2021, just absolutely off the charts. 48 homers, 111 RBIs, and a WRC plus of 166.
Wow.
I mean, he was right there in the MVP race.
Yeah, and what's fascinating is, Pereiro's analysis brings this to light. There was a slight dip in his production in 2022 and 2023. Combined WRC plus of 125, so still a good offensive player.
Still a good player, yeah.
No doubt, but not quite at that elite level we witnessed in 2021.
Yeah, and then he comes back with this massive rebound in 2024.
Yeah.
323, 396, 544, with a WRC plus of 165, right back to that peak performance.
Right back to it.
And that really makes you think that resurgence was a catalyst for the timing of this contract.
Yeah, it almost feels like they saw that and were like, okay, we got to get this done now.
Exactly. It suggests that his return to that elite form really pushed the Blue Jays to lock him up.
And there's that pressure too, right? That Pereira's piece talks about, the management of Mark Shapiro, Ross Atkins.
Yeah.
They're under a microscope. They got to deliver.
Yeah.
And securing a talent like Guerrero Jr. for the long term, that's a statement.
Oh, yeah.
Especially after missing out on those other big free agents. So it shows, they're committed
To winning.
to building a team that can win.
Okay, so the why now makes sense in terms of, securing their guy and his performance recently.
Right.
But $500 million.
It's a lot of money.
It's astronomical. And Pereira does a good job of giving us some context there.
Yeah, what's really insightful is Pereiro's argument for the contract's reasonableness.
Oh, really?
Despite that massive sticker price, the key factor here is the lack of deferred payments.
Right.
Even Shohei Ohtani's huge $700 million deal, because of the deferrals, it has a much lower present value, like $437.8 million.
Wow.
So Guerrero Jr.'s $500 million with no deferrals actually surpasses Ohtani's in terms of its current financial impact.
Yep, a huge distinction.
And it's not just the present value. The lack of deferral shows that ownership is ready to commit, significant cash flow now and in the near future.
Right.
So it could give them more flexibility to build around Guerrero Jr., without having those massive deferred payments hanging over them.
Right.
Which we've seen, hurt other teams.
It really does reframe how we look at this commitment. And he also mentions the average annual value, $35.7 million.
Right, which is still a huge number.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a ton of money. But he suggests it's manageable for the Blue Jays, especially when you think about some of their other contracts. Some of their other contracts, like Springer-Gausman.
Yeah.
Those are coming to an end.
Exactly. So in the big picture, it could actually create more flexibility down the road.
Yeah, it's all about the long-term planning.
Right, looking ahead.
And with a contract this big, this long, there are always risks and rewards, and Pereiro touches on that a little bit.
Yeah.
He talks about, some potential downsides with Guerrero Jr., specifically his defense at first base and his base running.
Right, he's not, known for his speed or his defensive wizardry at first.
Right, but he also highlights his strengths.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, incredible plate discipline.
Above average walk rate.
Low strikeout percentage.
And that power.
Raw power. When he's one of the most feared hitters in baseball.
Absolutely. I mean, he can carry an entire offense when he's locked in.
And Pereiro also talks about this contract as a way for the Blue Jays to, avoid future risks in the free agent market.
Yeah.
Because if they hadn't signed him now,
oh, man,
he would have been a top free agent.
Absolutely.
Along with someone like Kyle Tucker.
Oh, yeah.
And that would have been a bidding war.
Oh, yeah. Huge bidding war.
So they're kind of taking control of their own destiny here.
For sure. They're avoiding that uncertainty. What if another team comes in and just blows them out of the water with an offer?
So looking ahead for the Blue Jays, this contract is a franchise record.
It is. It dwarfs Springer's $150 million deal.
Which just shows you the magnitude of this commitment.
Oh, yeah.
But with this investment comes pressure.
Oh, absolutely.
Pereiro really emphasizes that Mark Shapiro and Ross Atkins are under a lot of scrutiny now to produce results.
They've got to turn this financial commitment into wins.
Exactly. And since Guerrero Jr. joined the team in 2019, they've made the playoffs 3 times.
Yeah.
But haven't made it past the wild card round.
Yeah, 3 wild card exits.
So the goal is clear. It's World Series or bust.
Yeah, they want to get back to the World Series. They haven't been there since 1993.
Right. And they've got Vlad Guerrero Jr. locked in until 2039.
That's a pretty big window.
It's a huge window of opportunity, but it comes with a lot of expectations.
Oh, yeah.
It's not just about making the playoffs. It's about deep playoff runs and contending for a championship.
Exactly. And they're sending a message with this contract.
Absolutely.
They believe that Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is the guy to lead them there.
It's a huge show of confidence in him.
Yeah, they're betting on him to be an elite player for years to come.
So to sum up our deep dive, thanks to the great reporting from Frank Pereiro at Planeta Baseball,
absolutely,
the Blue Jays have made a huge long-term commitment to Vladimir Guerrero Jr., making him the center of their franchise for the next 15 years.
Wow.
This move shows they're serious about competing at the highest levels in MLB.
For sure.
And the fact that there are no deferred payments makes the financial structure of this deal really interesting.
Very interesting.
And of course, there are risks with any contract this big.
Right.
But the potential rewards of having an elite hitter like him are massive for a team with World Series aspirations.
I mean, that's the dream.
Right, exactly. And again, huge thanks to Frank Pereiro at Planeta Baseball for this insightful analysis.
Yeah, great work by him.
Make sure to follow them on X at @PlanetaBaseball and check out their blog for more great coverage at planeta-baseball.com.
They always have great stuff.
And you can follow Frank directly on X at Frank Pereiro.
Great follow.
So that brings us to our final thought, Flo.
All right.
This is a massive contract, 14 years for Vladimir Guerrero Jr. What do you think is the most important factor that will determine if this is a success for the Blue Jays?
That's a great question.
It's something to think about. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.